Hi, everybody, and welcome to another one of my school leader interviews. This is series 2, episode 5. I actually forgot the numbers on the episodes last time, but I've done my homework this time. It's episode 5, and I'm delighted to be joined by Tubatsi Moloi, who is the head teacher of
Castleview School in
Thank you very
Slough.
much. I've written it in the description for the video. This is how bad my notes are today. They're absolutely but whenever I think of Slough, and this is probably going to be insulting, I always think of David Brent. I always think of The Office when I think of Slough. It's terrible, actually, because I'm sure that we should not think about The Office when we think about Slough.
Yeah.
So as you absolutely delighted you could join me, thank you very much for taking the time out.
No, thank you for having me.
We're going to go for a whole range of questions in this interview. We're starting with some general questions, and then we're on to teaching and leadership. And then to finish off the interview, we've got some more things that are personal to you about your leadership journey and maybe digging a bit deeper around some of the themes that we're going to cover in the actual interview. So First question I always ask, what's the first thing you grab in the morning?
I'm a big coffee drinker. That has to be the first thing I do to kickstart the day. That's my little adrenaline rush for the morning, and it keeps me going. Yeah, so there's coffee.
But no more coffee through the day after that.
Oh, well, I've got a coffee machine in my office, so I'll possibly have 2 more cups during the day. So all in all, my average, without fail, will not be less than 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently my problem is Diet Coke.
Right.
I am currently on a maximum of 2 cans of Diet Coke a day for the last 5 weeks, and this is proving very challenging because, like you say, it does wake you up. It is a bit of an adrenaline rush because I don't drink tea or coffee, right?
Right. Well, you're missing out.
I know. Going from that to something a bit more deep, but who is your biggest inspiration in life?
I mean, I take my inspiration from different people, day in, day out. But as a South African person, this is pretty much quite cliche, I would say. Nelson Mandela ranks right up there. I've got a picture of him in my office. Just like those moments where you think, what will 007 do in a situation? The days when I think, what would Nelson Mandela do? But just in general, Tom, resilient people, who bounce back under difficult situations. I've got a young lady in year 6 who's got physical disabilities. And the way she comes in and plows into those lessons and works hard, gives a smile, just look back and you think, well, me moaning about not having enough sleep, me moaning about just basic daily things, that's nothing. So it's people that are resilient and that'll bounce back under difficult situations.
I love that. And with kind of Mandela, is there something about, I mean, is there anything beyond him being an inspiration in terms of his leadership? Is there anything that you take from him as a leader that channels into your leadership in school?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I take different elements from it. What he did at an early age, joining the struggle and facing, well, prison, possible death, and then obviously getting arrested and leaving his young family behind. That is highly admirable. But also, he had many opportunities at different points of his imprisonment where he could have taken the easy way out, and he stuck it out. And whilst people have got different views about him, there was a point then, obviously, when he took the role of president of South Africa, where he went down the element of, let's try the fairness route. Let's almost forgive and forget, but let's try and find a way forward. I think that is, for me, the biggest element that I admire about him, that he always strived to make it better for everyone. As I say, people would have different opinions about that, but yeah, that's my guy.
Of course, one of my favorite films is I don't know if you've seen it. It's about the I can't remember the name of the film now, but it's Matt Damon as the South African rugby captain. I can't remember the name. It's a good film though.
Yeah, I've watched it a few times. The name
Yeah,
is just gone.
is
Yeah,
it Invictus or something? I can't
in
remember. It,
yeah, that's the one.
it
Yeah,
could,
Matt Damon. He does a pretty good South African accent.
yeah, yeah. It's not bad. It's not bad. What do you think? Moving on from there, what do you think it is that people notice about you?
Well, it depends, Tom. Depends on the situation. As a black teacher, a black leader in England, I tend to find when I go to different places that I'm the only black face there, or one of the very few. And you get used to this over time. I think sometimes people recognize that part first, or there's a black man.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but also it depends on how I'm presented. A really good example was a few years ago. I was looking at purchasing a house, and it was a weekend. I rocked up at the offices, and I was wearing my weekend wear. The reception that I got on that day was different to the reception I got on a Tuesday, the following Tuesday, when I came in wearing a suit. And that shouldn't be the case. So yeah, but other than my dashing good looks, I think people tend to notice the physical side of it because of the situations that I'm usually in, where it's usually just I'm the only black person there. The only other time that it was different, I was doing a school review in Bexley,
yeah,
and yeah, I've never seen so many black practitioners in one school. So it was lovely to see.
yeah. We're going to touch on that later because I know there's only 3% of head teachers who are from black or ethnic minority backgrounds. It could be even, yeah. I don't know what the breakdown of that 3% is, but I know the 3% is the figure which is very, very low. So we'll talk on that later on anyway.
Right.
But what do you hope that people notice about you? You've said what people do. What do you hope?
A very confident leader, man, depending on the situation, where I am, if I'm with my family, a loving dad. But as a leader, someone who strives for fairness all the time. Um, I treat everyone the same, genuinely treat everyone the same. And those that know me well, I'm sure would attest to that. I would hope they would. Um, yeah, but someone who is passionate about their work, but also who's very open and honest. I'm open with regards to my weaknesses, but I own them. You know,
Yeah.
I identify them and I run with them, and I find a way of making them better, or I find someone who can do the job better.
Yeah, so you're not afraid to kind of. I know one of the things that particularly new leaders, a lot of the heads I've interviewed, I've asked them. I'm going to ask you later about being a new leader, and maybe one of the mistakes that leaders make is to not delegate. So
Yeah.
do you feel? I mean, I'm based on what you're saying there. You're basically saying that you feel comfortable to delegate if somebody else is stronger at that or better at
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. If I can identify someone who can do it better, I do. My colleagues, some of my colleagues that I work closely with at my old school, from the office team and the catering team, they made lots of jokes about delegating, because I'll do that just in a split second.
Yeah, I think you've got to though, because I think if you don't, then you're going to burn out, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
If you don't delegate.
Yeah.
What's your biggest weakness or fatal flaw?
Um, Possibly, Tom. I've got this strong belief that there's good in everyone, and I always go in expecting that,
Yeah,
and I'll dig deep for it, and some people aren't keen to show that. Um, so yeah, it's just being extremely optimistic. Doesn't always work well, especially in leadership. But I mean, I wouldn't get to where I am now had I not been an optimistic person. So yeah, too optimistic and hoping that people will show the true colors that they're hiding, So yeah.
Yeah, great answer. What's your biggest strength?
I guess I could easily flip that around, really.
Yeah,
What I've just said to you now. I just think possibly because of my upbringing, possibly the struggles within my journey into, as a teacher into leadership. My biggest strength is resilience. I live um, 13, 13 hours away from my country, close to 7,000 miles. So I've had to be on my own. Um, yeah, so I'm super resilient, almost unbreakable.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. What is the one personality trait that you don't have time for?
Devious characters, Tom. People that'll do anything to get their way, people that will um, backstabbers.
Yeah,
And you see it, we all want to do well,
yeah,
and we all want to succeed, but it always feels better when someone else is succeeding. Don't stand in their way, So yeah, it's people like that.
I think I always think I think the word haters, isn't it? I always think of the word
Yeah,
haters,
yeah,
like people who just hate on other people or try and stop them just because they can.
yeah, yeah.
When they can hate on it, it's weird. Human
Yeah.
nature's like weird.
Oh, and they're out there,
Yeah, exactly. Comfortable silences or non-stop conversation.
Easily non-stop conversations. I love talking, and I love being around people that love talking.
Yeah,
So yeah, that is right up there for me. I can do a comfortable silence, but yeah, it's an easy choice for me.
yeah. Like to talk more.
Yeah, no doubt.
What's better, being nice or being fair?
In the world we live in, it has to be fairness. That's what I believe in. It creates opportunities for others, but it allows people to grow if they are treated with fairness. So yeah, fairness, no doubt.
Yeah. Is that? I mean, that is a dichotomy, isn't it, between fairness and niceness? I mean, I don't know if there is a balance to be struck. In the previous interview with the head of Woodlands, I was interviewing her, and she was saying that, and actually three, I think, of the people I've interviewed have said this, at least three, that you can be fair, but in a nice way.
Yeah, you can be. You can be. And I've grown over time. It was a struggle.
Yeah,
And we'll possibly pick up on this later on, where I would want to be nice first because that comes more naturally for me. But with time, possibly age, but also the role that one is in currently,
yeah,
you have to be fair.
yeah. It's
It's not
difficult.
the easiest thing to do.
No,
Yeah.
not going to be. Okay, moving on to teaching and leadership now, and thinking back to your so you may still be teaching now, I don't know, but to when you were actually in the classroom there, what was the most embarrassing thing that happened to you in class as a teacher?
I am still teaching now. I teach a
Yeah.
year six group.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I want to make sure that I'm not de-skilled.
Yeah.
There are quite a few, Tom, but I'll take a safe one. And I won't go too much into detail with it. You'll pick it up in a moment. So,
Yeah.
um, in the Black languages in South Africa, I would like to possibly say all of them. The vowels are not don't sound the same as they do, in the Western language, English in particular.
Yeah.
So, um, I'd asked a child to hand out some sheets of paper. Now, in one of my languages, there isn't a long E sound. It comes out as an E.
Yeah.
So I told the child to hand out sheets of paper, and it was just the biggest joke. That was highly embarrassing for me.
Yeah. I like it. Quality. Uh, so moving on to your leadership journey. Now, you might want to just, in this answer, give an outline as to where it all started for you and so on if you want. You don't have to. But certainly, what challenges have you encountered along the way in this leadership journey that you've obviously been on to now be a head teacher? Is it your second headship, I think? I think you were
Well, I did an interim headship before for a short period. Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
So really, it's just your journey and also any challenges that what are the biggest challenges you faced on that journey?
Well, I mean, the journey itself, I mean, it took a long time to actually kickstart. I was one of those teachers that wanted nothing more but to be in the classroom, doing what I still think, I'm half decent at. And it started when I became a math subject leader, where I was given lots of opportunities to lead and grow. And then you start thinking, actually, if I can make an impact in a short period or a long period, but make it sustainable, maybe I should look into something else. And it was almost accidental as well, Tom, because a school improvement partner that I worked with just told me that it was time for me to start looking into the fuller side of the leadership. And I became an assistant head teacher first, So, and then I went, up the levels, up the ranks as in the traditional way, assistant, deputy, and so on. But the biggest challenge, and because I've done the majority of my teaching in this country, the biggest challenge has been this element of being judged by what people see first, without waiting to know you a bit better. I've visited schools previously with the intention possibly of applying for a job, and you can just tell as you enter, that is not the school for you because of the color of your skin. And now I tend to believe that I'm very confident in many situations. I've had to be. So, that is not my first thought that, they are seeing a black person. But sometimes you feel it. Sometimes you go through interviews where you've nailed it. And you can tell sometimes from the feedback that it's not sitting right, So the biggest challenge has been around that. Breaking that racial stereotype, I would say.
And how? I mean, you mentioned that. I mean, how many times do you think that's happened? I mean, in that situation for you, more than once.
Definitely more than once. Not so much where maybe I've gone for an interview, but just where you're in a situation where you feel that, or in a place you feel that you aren't welcome. That's not a place you're going to fit in. That is not a place where you'll be able to, or will be allowed to make an impact, And we'll possibly pick this up later on as well. I mean, that's a big inspiration for me in breaking that stereotype and in being the role model, so to speak. And there are many of us out there in that 3%. That are trying to do this trailblazing and opening up avenues for other Black and ethnic minority people to go into leadership.
So I've got a question on that later. Hopefully we can go into a bit more detail on that in terms of how you think we can challenge that or better it and so on. So we'll come back to that later. What was your worst day as a head teacher?
Possibly a situation happened where someone got suspended, and I didn't quite know about it before it happened, and I should have been informed. But it was once again just devious people doing what they shouldn't be doing. It was a hardworking colleague who was put in a situation that they shouldn't have been put in. due to a misunderstanding. That was really hard for me to take, because firstly, I felt that I should have known. I know I should have been informed about it prior to that, but I then felt helpless because I then couldn't help. I couldn't do anything at that point. Thank goodness justice has prevailed eventually, and that is behind us now. Yeah, so that was the difficult moment.
I mean, it's interesting you said earlier about still wanting to be in the classroom and not initially not wanting to go into leadership. And I guess there's some truth in that phrase of the most peaceful place for a teacher is when the classroom door's closed and they're with the kids. It has been at certain times, probably for me. I've worked in some fantastic schools with brilliant people. Don't get me wrong, but there is that. I mean, it's surprising. There is that Machiavellian. I don't know. I've just done a webinar actually on kind of toxicity and challenging toxicity, and I think one element of that, which is very subtle and very, very difficult to, is this kind of competitive. I call it competitive, but it's like it is like this Machiavellian, like House of Cards. Can go, and it's unbelievable, and it just destroy environments. It can make the atmosphere toxic. You know, that was basically the discussion we were having. You don't need to comment on that, but it kind of made me think based on what you know, some of the things you said.
About, I agree with you. Yeah.
What was your best day as a head teacher, if that was your worst?
Every now and then you get those moments where you've been in class and you've taught the lesson and you feel that, you know, pupils were leading it and everything is just working, and there are no faults around the school, you know, no blocked toilets. You know, it's rare days. No, it's not raining, no wet play. So yeah, there's been a few of those, but it's just one of those days where then at the end of it, when you least expect it, and it happened recently, a parent comes up and you think, oh my goodness, what does she want? And then she says, oh, I just wanted to tell you that, you know, we've heard lots of good things about you. This, and, you know, impact, you hit the ground running. You're a good role model. Yeah, it's those sort of days.
But that's going to mean the world, isn't it, to me?
Oh yeah.
When people back you and who you don't even know, you know, it's good, isn't it? When you're hiring teachers, what kind of things do you look for, and who are your perfect candidates?
It's a combination of things. I mean, I always look at someone who, when I listen to them, when they are talking about what they do, what they aspire to, why they are coming to work at the school, I think that they're going to look after the kids that they'll be entrusted with, and they will love them, they will care for them. But also, I mean, this is going to be a thread in what we talk about. I believe that they'll treat everyone with fairness and you know, with equality. But also some of it is just a gut feeling, Tom. I always think, can I work with this person? You know, will they be my kind of person? So it's a combination. But above all, someone that I feel will be caring and loving to the children and work hard, and be open about their flaws, and be willing to learn and improve.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Where do you think new leaders go wrong?
Well, I mean, I've done this as a new leader, you know, years ago when I started. It's an element of trying to do too much too soon, and not coming in and assessing the situation, not coming in trusting that people that are there know what they are doing, and you coming in with your ideas, possibly that you've tried or that were successful in a different setting, and then you think they'll be successful in this setting that you're in. So I think that's the biggest mistake, really, and not being keen to listen, to other people. I was once a young, super confident, slightly arrogant teacher turned leader. So I you know, you learn over time.
You do, and I've written a blog actually about this. I think last year, how when I started as a middle leader, I did things that were probably, thinking back now. I mean, it's difficult to say this because there were decisions I made or things I did that were probably against my actual values. And the reason, I mean, some of them were unconscious, kind of thing, because I was just young and I was in that mindset. I was 24, whatever.
Yeah.
25, I'm 35 now. This is 10 years ago. But I was like, that you just get like you said, you can get cocky, you can get complacent, and you can think that other people, also like you can also idolize the wrong people. And then I'm talking about me here, really. You can idolize the wrong people, and then you can do things that aren't true to you. And it's just, I think it's just being young and being a leader. Like, if you think about it, it's like what training, what really rigorous training do we give at the start of, people are going into TLRs 1-2 years in with no training in leadership.
Yeah.
We don't even know if they're any good at leadership, because for me, teaching and leadership are two completely different things. Like, completely different. You can be like, take to teaching, like, amazing, get promoted dead fast, and actually you're not a born leader. You've got to work, you've got to learn, and you've got to understand, and your personality might not be. So I feel as though that's a big gap. I don't know what you think about that, but I think that's a big gap that we've got, is like leadership training in the early career days, especially now with the recruitment crisis the way it is as well. What percentage of you in work is an act?
A small percentage. If you're pressing me, I don't know, 15%.
Yeah,
20%. I tend to be very easy to read, Tom. So it's hard then for me to do the to put the act on. But also I just find that people work really hard in schools, and the more you are true in your actions, in your words, and true to yourself, the more people know what to expect. It's taken a long time for me to really be super confident around difficult conversations. Sometimes those are the act bit, where I need to put on a certain face that I don't want to put, because I want to achieve that level of fairness and resolving a situation. I think I've lost you.
I think
are you back?
Yeah, I just dropped. I missed that entire answer. I'm sure it was. It was
awesome, Tom. It was my best answer.
Amazing. I have to watch it back later on demand. What does success as a school leader look like to you?
It's beyond the percentage of GDS that the school can achieve. It's beyond any grading. For me, it's when everyone, or as many people as possible, from the child in the classroom to the catering manager, to the site manager, to everyone in the school, where they feel that they've been empowered to lead in their aspect, in their role. Because if you get boys and girls leading in the classroom, that's when the best learning happens. But also, it tends to happen in such a way that most people in their role will be good at it, and you go in assuming that they are. So when you allow them to lead and they lead well, for me, that is success. Because really, I shouldn't be the one leading the school in that way. You do not do that. Other people do that with you. So the more people that are doing leading in different ways, the more success you'll achieve.
I think, again, one of my previous interviewees said it's being able to leave the school thinking that you're going to leave the school for a week and go away on holiday, and that
Yeah.
it will run without you in the building. Basically, what they said.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with them on that.
Yeah. So it's kind of a bit, I guess, what you were saying. We're now going to move on to kind of dig a little bit deeper in terms of, I've got a few questions around things about you. So first one is, I noticed on your Twitter profile that you got the South Africa flag, and obviously you've said already that you're from South Africa. So what influence do you think your time in South Africa has had on you as a teacher and leader?
Well, I taught only for 2.5 years in South Africa before coming over here. But growing up under a tricky period, for want of a better phrase, growing up under apartheid in South Africa, you learn to strive day in, day out for equality, fairness, equal rights, So what I do, and empowerment as well.
Yeah.
So what I do as a leader is, I don't think about how I grew up, but it's at the forefront of what I do: empowerment, equality, fairness. I think for me, there's a big thing: providing people with the right CPD so that they can grow and they can grow other leaders as well. So I think that's had a big influence on me.
That's massive. That's incredible. And what are we talking like? I don't want to guess your age here, Tubatsi, but are we like going back to, I don't know, the 80s, 90s?
Oh, well, you're very generous, Tom. Yeah, I grew up at the height of the apartheid regime. I'm a 75 baby, if I can say
really?
that. Yeah. Oh, looks could be deceiving, Tom.
I was gonna say, I'm feeling, yeah. I know that you're also a big supporter of Nadine Bernard's Aspiring Heads program, and I think it's Nadine who runs that.
Yeah.
Back in July, you encouraged Black teachers who are aspiring to headship to check it out. Now, this comes back to my previous question, and I suppose this is a complex answer, but why do you think there is a lack of Black leaders, school leaders in particular, in the UK? If we're saying the figure's like 3%, why do you think that's the case?
Some of this is not based on any research. It's based on my own opinion. So I'm happy to be judged on that one. But some of it as well is purely because there aren't enough Black teachers. There aren't enough Black leaders. And I was part of a webinar one day, and someone said, you can't be what you can't see. So our boys and girls in schools do not see those inspirational teachers, whether male or female, from Black and ethnic minority groups, to then think, well, I want to aspire to be that one day. And I think that's one part. And the other side of it, I just think that, this is my opinion, barriers for teachers from Black and ethnic minority groups, as far as progression is concerned. I spoke to one of the head teachers recently from Slough, and he felt that he empathized and understood my journey, and was surprised that I was where I was, because he didn't expect to see a Black teacher in that area, a Black head teacher rather, in that area. There are a few of us out there, but I just think that what Nadine Bernard is doing, for example, is highly inspirational. A Black woman who is putting herself out there and providing opportunities for other Black and ethnic minority group teachers to thrive and grow. So hopefully there'll be just one small aspect of what she's doing, and there'll be more as well. But also, Tom, you obviously, I know you had spoken to Nadine, but you talking to me now, you could have chosen anyone else of any color, of any group, and you are putting me out there. If two people see this interview and think, "Oh wow," yeah, there'll be success for me.
Do you think also? I know you said there about I can't remember the quote you used at the beginning there. You something about aspiring towards what you can see. Something along those.
Yeah.
Right. What role? I mean, do you think that the curriculum? Because obviously there's a lot of talk about. I watched a webinar the other week on this actually from the British Museum, but there's a lot of talk about kind of decolonizing the curriculum, and I think that's I think David, I can't remember his surname, British historian, but anyway, he was doing the webinar, and his point was that it's become the phrase decolonizing the curriculum has become kind of a stick for some of the press to beat that with. It was a complex answer that he gave, but essentially he was saying that all he was saying is basically diversifying the curriculum, is making the curriculum more broad, bringing in different stories, bringing in different things from different, whether it be South Africa, whatever, right?
Yeah.
How important do you think that is, and what do you think might be the mistakes that a teacher could make in that domain when it comes to curriculum? I mean, do you think there's anything that people need to be aware of or wary of, or do you think it's just do it?
Well, the first thing is identifying that the curriculum has to change, has to be more diverse. You will do certain things and get others wrong, but you'll succeed more than you'll fail by diversifying the curriculum. And there are schools out there who are already doing that. And I want, no need to mention them. And there are people who are leading, who are being the trailblazers around that. So it needs to represent facts. It needs to represent the heroes in all avenues, but also it needs to inspire this first world country that we're in to grow more leaders, but also promote more equality. So the curriculum is an important part of that, and I know there's going to be lots of schools doing that work, and I'm looking into that. There is a group that I'm currently working with around equality education. I'm not leading the work, but it's being led by another black head teacher. So there'll be lots of that happening.
Yeah, that's incredibly positive. And what outside of curriculum, what other areas, if you like? Because I know there's the for example, there's like black curriculum groups, and there's anti-racist groups and so on Twitter for education and so on. But what outside of curriculum, what are the things that need to happen to that you're passionate about equality, you're passionate about fairness and justice and so on. So outside of curriculum, what are the things that need to happen that schools can be doing, that school leaders can be doing to enhance that program or to promote that program?
Well, first and foremost, just being open about it, speaking bravely about it. Yes, we're saying it's not about the curriculum, but it's at times inviting the right people to schools. I saw a tweet by Mallory Blackman a few weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago now, where she was saying that a lot of schools are requesting her to come in or to do talks during Black History Month, and she said, well, she's Black any day of the year, so they don't need to be waiting for October to invite her. And I think linking it to the curriculum, we shouldn't only be talking about Black people in education, in history, only during October. So it's making it part of daily life, really, that it gets to a point where we aren't thinking about specifically about Black history, but
Yeah.
we're just thinking about history, and it features everyone.
Yeah, agreed. And as you say, I guess factual as well is important.
Yeah.
Back in so you also shared, this is moving away from that a little bit, but you shared a story of the famous viral shot of the Spanish athlete who let the Kenyan athlete win the race when he took a wrong turn, and you said you simply said uncompromised values. Now, what does the phrase uncompromised values mean to you on the day-to-day?
I remember that I shared a snapshot and some, a thread around the Spanish athlete. It's possibly um, Ivan Fernandez, who had a chance to win a race by being dishonest, and he chose not to. When the Kenyan athlete was confused, well, there's a version that is out there, was confused about where the finishing line was, and then the Spanish athlete then pointed him out. And when he was interviewed at the end, they said, "Well, you could have won that race." And then he said, amongst many other things, "What would my mom have thought of that?" And I just thought to myself, that's when you've got a chance to go against your values. That's when you've got a chance to possibly be dishonest, and you think, "I will not compromise on that. It doesn't matter who's watching." And you fight for the right thing. And I think that's highly admirable what is done. And there was something similar as well, Tom, recently in the news as well. I can't remember which athlete did something similar. But we need more of that. We need more people that are raising the flag for others, that want others to win as well.
100%. And just to finish off the interview, which has been fantastic, by the way, so thank you very much, fans. What would your message? Because it's a really tough time for a lot of school leaders. What would your message to other head teachers be at the moment? What would your message be to the head teachers out there at the moment?
And this is just me thinking about it, that during a time where in education we've been getting a bad name over what we did or didn't do with regards to remote learning during lockdown and so on. Ultimately, what I try to do when I get to the school gates is ensure that I've done the very best for the children, for the school community, for the staff, and regardless of what the view is out there of the profession, from some sectors, not from everyone, just remember why you got into it, that moral purpose. Just remember why you got into it, to create opportunities for others, to create life of opportunities. So yeah, stay true to yourself.
Amazing. Tubatsi, it's been an absolute pleasure. You've amazing answers to all of those.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. And I'll be back actually on Tuesday night with episode 6. So we're rolling through the interviews here.
All right, I'll be watching that.
Pass through them. But this will be available. Anyone watching right now, it'll be available on YouTube. Well, it is being streamed on YouTube now, but you can watch it back on YouTube and also on Periscope. Tubatsi, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Have a great remainder of the week. One more day.
Yeah, one more day. The weekend is upon us. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you for hosting me.